Hey, listeners of Missing Maura Murray. This is sort of a Crawlspace feed drop. This is an episode of Crawlspace that we're playing here on Missing Maura Murray because the information is important and vital to put out there to New Hampshire residents especially.
Yeah, we have a lot of listeners in the New Hampshire residents, and this episode we talk about Michael McClain. He was 29, and he went missing from Nashua, New Hampshire, and it was on Easter of this year. So it's very recent. We want to put it out there to as many ears as possible, and you'll hear our call to action to call the Crime Stoppers Nashua Police Department, and we give you some descriptions as to where he went missing. So we hope you guys will listen to this and know that we don't talk about Maura. We just need to use this feed in order to reach as many listeners as possible.
And we'll be back next week with more coverage and our panel from CrimeCon. Thanks a lot for listening. Welcome to Crawlspace. I'm Tim here today with Lance in the Crawlspace studios in Wormtown. Lance, how are you today?
Doing pretty well. Feels good to be here, Wormtown, in our little black box. But we have a pretty heavy episode coming up here, so just want to preempt everything with that.
We do, and it's a recent disappearance case out of Nashua, New Hampshire, Lance, and the man's name was Michael McClain. He's 29, and he was out with friends at the Tropical Lounge in Nashua on Saturday night, April 20th. So the last time he was seen is surveillance video around 2:30 a.m. Sunday, April 21st in Nashua at the McDonald's.
Yeah, so that was Easter Sunday, and it was of this year. So like you said, this is a very recent disappearance, and we preempted other planned episodes so that we could put this out there because it's only been a couple of months since his disappearance, and there is a chance that we could put information out there and have somebody who saw something or who knows something come forward to the Nashua Police Department with information. And we spoke to his mother and his father on this episode, and both of them are completely perplexed as to Michael's actions of that particular evening with text messages and the route that he was known to have walked, and then he disappeared.
So if you have any information, please contact the Nashua Police Investigative Division at 603-594-3500. This is case number 19-26944.
And make sure you check out all of the social posts. The missing poster is out there. You can see what Michael looks like in different scenarios, different pictures of him. And if anyone is from Nashua and they know that area, or if they heard anything or saw anything, please reference the number that Tim just gave.
Or you can call Crime Stoppers of New Hampshire, 1-800-222-TIPS, TIPS. That's 1-800-222-TIPS to call Crime Stoppers, and you can call anonymously if you would like.
And I just want to reiterate, this has only been a couple of months. And the reason why we're doing this right now and we're preempting other episodes is because we're in that window where something is fresh in people's memories. And there's CCTV footage. There could be more of that out there. There could be people that Michael talked to that night that have not come forward. Who knows if someone's listening to this and they know somebody who was at the Tropical Lounge or worked there or at the Speedway gas station or the McDonald's that's right within a mile of the Tropical Lounge. Just reach out to that person and say, did you hear anything? Show them the missing poster. Once you hear Ed and Paula, those are Michael's parents, once you hear them talk, it'll really pull on your heartstrings, and you should feel obligated to try to help out if you do know anything.
So Mike was last seen around Bancroft Street and the Merrimack River. And so if you've seen something, please give some information to the appropriate place.
And that location that you just mentioned, that's off of Bridge Street. It's off of East Hollis Street. It's technically 111A, and it is the bridge that crosses over before you get into Hudson, New Hampshire, I believe. So to get more specific about that, it's that triangulated area right before 111's bridge that goes from Nashua to Hudson, New Hampshire.
So if you are a witness, please call the Nashua Police and get that out there. Call us or email us if you'd like. We can send that to the appropriate place. If you feel more comfortable doing it that way, you can email us at crawlspacepodcast@gmail.com. And again, Michael McClain is 29 years old. He is from Manchester, New Hampshire, but he was last seen in Nashua. He has brown eyes. He wears green contacts. He has brown hair. He has a goatee. He's 5'10", 190, numerous tattoos on hands and arms, is an African-American man.
And for something on a little bit of a lighter note, Tim, we got some pretty cool stuff going on our Patreon page, and we want to direct people there if you want to get some fun stuff, because we do deal with a lot of heavy stuff like this case, and we need to, in a sense, unwind a bit and decompress, and we have a segment where we quiz our intern, our helper, Brian. He's the quiz king. What is it? Stump the King?
Stump the King
Stump
is
the
the
King
game.
is the game. And the patrons will be selected seemingly at random for maybe a voicemail recording of you and I if he wins.
Yeah, he plays for a patron every week, and so we do these vaults every week. They're a lot of fun. So yeah, check it out at patreon.com/crawlspacepodcast. Again, it's patreon.com/crawlspacepodcast. We also have our entire archive on Stitcher Premium, so check that out at stitcherpremium.com and use code MMM.
Speaking of Stitcher Premium, we just dropped our latest batch of 10 creator commentaries for Missing Maura Murray. We're working on the next 10. These things are picking up steam. People really like them. We've been getting a lot of messages about the new information that we put out there over the old information that we had in these episodes. We correct things, and there is no lack of us giving each other a lot of grief for what we said and how we acted back in the day.
Okay, so check that stuff out, and thank you very much for listening. Follow us on social media at Crawlspace Podcast on Instagram. Thank you very much for listening. Okay, we are being joined by Edward and Paula, and their family member, Michael McClain, went missing in Nashua, New Hampshire, Sunday, April 21st. Can you guys tell us a little bit about Mike's disappearance?
Michael went out to Tropical Lounge in Nashua, New Hampshire, with some friends to the club. During the ordeal, an altercation, I believe, happened with two young ladies that were there. Michael, intervened and I guess felt that it wasn't right for the young ladies to be arguing, fighting, or whatever have you. So he kind of separated it. And pretty much after the altercation with the two young ladies, the crowd had dispersed. And pretty much after the crowd had dispersed, that was pretty much towards the end of the night at the club. Also, he wasn't seen near or at the club when his supposed friends were looking for him ready to leave. So that's kind of like last that they have seen of him at the club. And then supposedly he basically made his way down towards East Hollis, because Tropic Lounge is on West Hollis. So East Hollis, he made his way down to East Hollis, which is McDonald's. So, and at that time, people, gave a statement and so forth that they remember seeing him at McDonald's. And that's probably, I don't know if I had to guess looking at from the timeline, I want to say that's probably anywhere between 2 o'clock to about 2:30, give or take. They remember seeing him at McDonald's.
Sorry to interrupt. Who remembers seeing him at McDonald's?
The staff that works at McDonald's, because that McDonald's is a 24-hour McDonald's. So they remember him coming in. His phone, once the police pinged his phone, they did confirm that he was at McDonald's, or I should say his phone was at McDonald's. But the people do remember him, so it's safe to say that he and his phone were both at McDonald's, and he was there. They really didn't confirm the time, how long he was there for, but they did confirm that he was there. I believe he made a purchase or whatever have you. He was there for a little while, and then he managed to leave McDonald's. But there was a gentleman, I don't recall his name, supposedly, I guess, an acquaintance with man, when he was either entering the McDonald's or exiting the McDonald's. I believe he also went down and gave a statement because he does recall man being at McDonald's. I apologize. When I say man, I reference my son, Michael.
Yep.
Anthony McClain is man.
Right.
That's a nickname I call him.
Right.
That was also someone that recalls him being there. And then between the ordeal at McDonald's and him leaving McDonald's, apparently he made a phone call to his boss at around 1:49 a.m. So the call that he made to his boss, her name is, apparently it was, looking at the timestamp, I believe it was a 2-minute and 16-second call. Whether he meant to call her direct or inadvertently call her, he managed to call her, and he did momentarily speak to her, and her comment was basically, man said to his boss, they're chasing me. There are more than one. So that's basically the last person that man physically talked to that we officially know of.
How far between the Tropical Lounge Club and McDonald's? What's the distance between the two?
If I had to guess from being there, I would probably say it's maybe about a quarter of a mile, about a quarter of a mile or a little bit more, give or take.
Okay, but definitely not like more than a mile.
No,
Okay.
not more than a mile. But it gets a little bit more crazier with this ordeal, because once he, and this is, I have yet to comprehend how this actually transpired, and hopefully I will explain myself a little bit more as we go, so you can understand where my mind is at right now. But so basically, he made the phone call at 1:51. Hold on.
1:49.
1:49. I'm sorry. Thank Paul.
Yeah.
It was actually 1:49. He made the call to his boss. 1:49,
Right.
2 minutes and 16 seconds. Then his boss tried to reach him back at 1:51.
Okay.
The same boss
Okay.
that he called. So they had the 2-minute
Yes.
conversation. He said they're chasing me, and then she hung up, or they disconnected the call, and she immediately called him back.
Correct.
Okay.
So she called him back at 1:51. He didn't respond. She called him back at 2:25. She didn't respond, and she also sent him a text at 1:54 and 2:18, and there was no reply from neither text or the two attempts to call him. He did not pick up.
Do you know what time Mike left the Tropical Lounge?
According to the police, they claim he left the lounge at 1:45, 1:44.
Oh, okay.
Supposedly around that time. That's the time he left.
Okay, so it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like there was an altercation inside the bar that was one of the reasons why Mike left the bar, and then pretty much immediately after that, he called his boss and said, they're chasing me, there's more than one, and then they tried to talk again, and then he ends up at McDonald's about anywhere between 10 to a half an hour later, 10 minutes to about a half an hour later. Does that sound right?
See, that's why I couldn't figure this out as well from listening to what the cops say, because there was two young ladies that was actually, it was a bunch of people there in the club.
Okay.
But there was just two particular ladies that we did speak with that were there. And that's why I questioned the time that the police telling me that man left the club. Because the reason I questioned that was because the altercation, from what I got, it didn't happen. Well, I'm quite sure there was a verbal confrontation with the two girls inside the club. I'm quite sure because that's probably what escalated it outside.
Right.
But no one really can, say yay, nay, or anywho.
No one's been able to verify that that call that he made was in direct connection to the altercation that happened inside the bar.
From what they're telling me, man was not part of the altercation. He was the one that tried to defuse it on the outside of the bar after the club had ended.
Do you think that there's a possibility that Michael breaking up this altercation might have instigated someone, like the situation where he was being chased?
I question that too.
Okay.
Yeah, I question that because apparently, I guess he knew one of the young ladies. And if going by what people were saying, he was dancing with the young lady or she was dancing with him. They was dancing together, let's just say that, inside the club. So apparently her ex-boyfriend was at the club. So from what they're saying, he was kind of like, we call it like grilling, like you're basically looking at it, you're staring out at a person like why are you with this person, whatever. So I don't know if that sparked something in the club because no one can really say there was an altercation with anyone inside the club. From what I'm gathering, they say he was in the VIP with these guys. There was really no altercation with him or anyone inside the club. The altercation was with the young ladies outside, and it was supposedly just them two, from what everyone is telling me.
Okay.
No one has yet to say that man had any altercation or any run-ins with anyone inside the club.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. So was the bar closed? Is that why everyone was waiting outside, or did just this altercation kind of spill outside?
I guess because the cops were coming, everybody was leaving.
Well, not necessarily. Well, the club had ended. So from what I was being told, when the club ends, they pretty much force you outdoors.
Right.
So that's kind of like the time where the bar, it was almost 2. So I guess that's when everyone was leaving.
Yep.
So everyone was kind of like gathered outside, whether they were talking, whatever, or just being entertained with the altercation with the two young ladies. That I'm not 100% sure, but I'm only speculating that that's what actually happened while they was outside.
Okay. And I don't know if you have any way to know this, but do you know if Mike was intoxicated or how drunk he might have been?
No, I was saying no. Michael don't get that drunk.
Okay. Michael drinks. Now, the thing of it is, though, see, and this is something also, too. They said that everyone was drinking, they was having a good time. So apparently everyone was intoxicated. But listening to the police tell me this, they claim, now I'm going to jump ahead because, like I said, I want you to kind of get where my head is because it doesn't make sense, these timestamps. Because, man, the cops say he apparently left the club at 1:45. Between 1:45 and 2:30, they have a somewhat concrete trail of where man was at. So they said that this timestamp, looking at the cameras, this is piecing it together. This is what they come up with. When he leaves the club, he ends up making his way to McDonald's, right? But the timestamp that the cops have given me that he left at like 1:45, it doesn't really seem right. I could be wrong, but just it's possible around that time, give or take a couple of minutes here or there. So he leaves the club. So with this being said, with the phone call, there was also a text sent from his phone I'm going to just read the timestamp. So the first text, he writes, help, LOL, R. Not sure what that means, but he texts that. So then at 1:56, he sent another text that I'm not sure if he is. Forgive me, I know I'm not that old, but I'm lost with times with the way they text now. But basically, he typed in I'm gonna say it how I believe in, then I spell it. He said "Whata stood aloof." So he basically texts WHATA space STOOD space ALOOF. Now, that was text at 1:56. Then at 2:15 a.m., he sent another text, and it said, Eldridge, bro. So Eldridge is a street maybe less than 1,000 feet away from Tropic Lounge.
Okay.
It's off of the main strip. If you're facing McDonald's to get ready to head to East Nashua, it's the first street on your left, and it's near, I think that was, what bank was that? Citizens Bank, I believe that was.
Yeah, Citizens Bank.
Eldridge is actually, I call it an alleyway, they call it a street. Eldridge is probably maybe, if I had to guess, 500, 600 feet. It's the alleyway / street that has this bagels company on it. So basically, that street in itself, and it runs directly into the post office that's right there.
Okay.
Now, that street in itself, there's no way you can read the name of that sign, Eldridge, from leaving the club, standing on the corner of West Hollis, and I believe that was Main Street. You would have to literally be probably 100 to maybe 150 feet away from that sign to see it, because it sits to the right, and we drove by it thinking, we're not knowing that it was actually a street. We thought it was just the driver to the bank, but it's actually a street. So man texts that name, Eldridge Bro, at 2:15 a.m. And then at 2:18 a.m. from his phone, he texts, excuse the French, but he texts, fuck, I'm not sure what this is, but he basically spelled FUCK space BITXU.
Did you say BIT?
Yeah, yeah. Now, if I had to speculate, I guess he was saying either FUBITCH, I don't know. But this is what the text was that was coming from his phone at 2:18.
And who is that to?
Who's he sending these text messages? Are these all to different people, or is this to one specific person?
No, this was, from what I gather, was from one person who was his neighbor. So, because I got this screenshot from my nephew. They say he may have thought he was home, and he was knocking on the door to tell the neighbor to let him in.
Oh, okay. So was the neighbor with him?
No.
Oh,
that's
wow.
the thing.
Okay.
Because the thing of it is, man moved to Manchester. Let me rephrase that. He was already living in Manchester, but he moved to another dwelling.
Okay.
So the unit, the condos, MDUs, the multi-dwelling units that he resides in now, I didn't see no similar units like that in the vicinity of West Hollis. The closest ones that I saw that resembled that was the one where the police speculate that was the last place that they saw a man, which was at 11 Bancroft Street.
And that was down the road a bit.
Yes. Now, that's about, if I had to guess, from the club to there, that's probably over a mile, maybe a mile and a half, maybe a mile and a quarter.
Just want to get the timeline and sort of his walking path down. Per the police, around 1:45 is when he leaves the Tropical Lounge. And we believe that he crossed the street and went down this side street named Eldridge and made a phone call to his boss at that point saying, they're chasing me, there's more than one. And then he was texting someone after that, and then he crossed back across Hollis to go to McDonald's. And during this time, there were some texts that were happening, and he says a friend said he saw him at McDonald's, and there's workers who saw him at McDonald's between 2 and 2:30. After that, he continued down the road the way he was heading away from the Tropical Lounge. And then I think there was a gas station that he stopped at to make a call at?
Correct. But that is just, there's more See, because after he, like I said, the timestamp of 2:18, there was another timestamp of 2:25 from his phone, and then another timestamp of 2:27 a.m. from his phone. Now, that was the last transmission from or to his phone at that time.
2:25 a.m.
2:25, and then there was the very last text was 2:27.
Oh, okay.
So from 1:55 a.m., 1:56 a.m., 2:15 a.m., 2:18 a.m., 2:25 a.m., and then the very last one was at 2:27 a.m. was the very last correspondence on his phone. Now, remember, his boss sent him a text at 2:27. He didn't respond. And she sent him another one at 2:16. Now, this is the thing, because they said, the police said that man was at McDonald's at, if memory serves me correct, because I started looking through the footage, but I was actually taking some other notes. But I believe they said around 2:30, they remember him at McDonald's, or the people said they remember him at McDonald's. So my conclusion is that when man was leaving the club, I'm assuming something may have kind of like sparked after the club outside, because if something would have sparked off in the club, man would have left prior to that happen. Or, the guys that he came with, they were like, hey, let's defuse this, let's leave. Well, you would only assume. But I know my son, he would have left. Or, something of that nature. He wouldn't have waited to the end if there was an altercation to deal with a bigger altercation after the club, and then to try to defuse a fight between two girls.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm believing something happened after he defused the thing with the girls. Then something may have happened then. But after that, the police, when the police showed us footage, let me rephrase, let me come back. They didn't even show us footage.
No.
They said they pieced together the footage from the establishments on this strip.
Okay.
So they're saying that man walked from West Hollis straight down to East Hollis, to where McDonald's was, and then past East Hollis and proceeded down towards 11 Bancroft Street, which is the MDU, this new riverfront complex that they're building.
Yep.
So man ended up there. That's the last footage that they say they have of him. The very last footage of him they said they have of him was him exiting the rear of the condo complex.
Oh, okay.
But it gets a little bit more tricky, because they said they have this, they pieced it together with the footage. Now, I questioned them with all the footage that we told them that because we also went to these shopkeepers and they all said they had the footage, but obviously the cops had to acquire it. So the cops apparently acquired the footage. Now, they're saying he walked straight down West Hollis to East Hollis, which is incorrect, because he actually went down Eldridge. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the area, but once again, there's no way you're going to see this Eldridge Street from West Hollis.
Yeah, we're looking on the Google map, and we definitely see that it's across sort of a main street, and as you said, a bit of an alley. So, and
yes.
What strikes me immediately is that was probably, I mean, if he left the lounge around 1:45, then that was probably right around the time where he called his supervisor and left the message saying, they're chasing me, there's more than one. And so, again, this is kind of an alley, a small street, not the main street.
Yeah.
This is not in direct line of vision from the Tropical Lounge, I imagine.
No, yeah.
Correct.
We're on Google Earth right now, and you can see if you walk out of the Tropical Lounge and you take a right, then you take a left on Main Street, and then you cross over at some point to go to Eldridge Street, and then it's like you horseshoe. You come back on East Hollis
to head towards McDonald's.
Yeah, via Spring Street.
And do you know when he sent that text that said help? Or what time?
The time was 1:55 a.m.
Oh, so it's right in that same time frame.
And who did he send that text to? His boss?
No. The last name eludes me, but I believe it was. And this is the crazy thing. because I don't think he initially meant to text her. I think it's just fumbling with the phone or whatever. Because I have done it too. Said something and then it generated a conversation that I had getting ready to send it to someone. So I don't think that initially was who he meant to send it to, but I think it may have picked up his voice because it was still somehow in recording mode to send a text, because you can send a text with speech.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm thinking that it kind of picked up the conversation. I could be wrong, but I'm thinking this is probably, I don't know if this is actually him texting this or him speaking this.
Gotcha.
And it just happened to pick it up.
He calls his boss. Do you believe that was a mistake, that he was just sort of trying to call anybody to say something to anybody and it just happened to be his boss? Or do you think he was trying to call somebody else?
That I don't think was a mistake, because he has reached out to his boss if he's at the club or if he needs a ride. So he does have that rapport with his boss.
Okay.
And man always shows up for work. So if he was out and he couldn't make it to work, or if he needed a ride, his car broke down, because prior to this car, he had a Maxima, which was giving him problems. So he has reached out to his boss before to say, okay, something happened with the vehicle. This is my excuse for why I'm either going to be running late or so forth. So he has reached out to her before. So that, I think, was meant, like he meant to call her. Yeah. Maybe that was the first number when he hit contact. I don't know, or he had called her prior and it was still there. That I know, I strongly believe he meant to call Nicole.
Okay.
But they did have a brief conversation, and then this is where the rest of this came about, because once again, and to my point, and you kind of somewhat agree, he had to have been somewhere, something had to push him off the beaten path of Hollis to go to that side street.
Yeah.
And it is dark. Like I said, when we was out there, there were, less misfortunate people in that area. So I can only imagine what's out there at 2 a.m. or, so something derailed him off the main strip.
Okay.
So he ends up on Eldridge. So he, like you said, he horseshoed around, and apparently he came back to Hollis.
Right.
And then that's how he made it to McDonald's. So whether McDonald's was a safe haven for him, I'm believing so.
I would say so. A 24-hour...
Probably the only place open 24 hours.
Yeah, pretty busy store at that time of night.
There's a number of banks that I assume have ATMs. I mean, there's a number of buildings here that I'm looking at that could have some sort of CCTV footage there.
My question is, do you know what time he was seen last at that condo complex?
They said the last time that they seen him at the condo was at 3:30 is where the cops say their footage that they acquired from the condo showed him there around that time. Because that time, they was only able to ping his phone while he was at McDonald's. And that's where he somehow came separated from his phone, whether it died. But before he goes to 11 Bancroft, he stops. He's walking down Hollis. He stopped at Speedy gas station.
Yeah, yep. the Speedway.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it said Speedy. Yeah, it could say Speedway, but he stopped at that gas station, and he entered there, and he asked to use the phone. Now, the cops never said to me if he actually made a phone call. They only said that he entered the establishment. Now, I went and spoke to one of the employees there, and let's just say, I'm going to be nice when I say this. Let's just say he's a very good friend of some sort of drug, because his mind was everywhere. Like he kept repeating himself. Like I was just trying to get what was the manager on duty and how can I acquire some footage of what transpired. And he claims he remembered my son coming in. But he wrote my number down. I gave him my number. He wrote my number down on the paper to give back to me. So I'm saying, no, guy, I need the number of your boss so I can reach out to him for the footage and to see if the police actually acquired the footage. So that conversation kind of took forever. So once again, he does remember. He says he remembered a man coming in there. Now, the footage from the camera system, the cops did confirm that man did enter that gas station, and the gas station is after McDonald's.
Right.
So
Right.
he left McDonald's. But if man was actually fearing for his life or in distress of it, something was happening, he would have stayed at McDonald's. He would have left. Only two reasons I think he would have left McDonald's: if someone called him or texted him, or he ran into someone where he felt safe enough to leave with them to leave McDonald's. Now,
Right.
because it made no sense to leave McDonald's, and then, now mind you, man doesn't really know this area, and that's the kicker. So for him to leave and walk that way, something pushed him that way.
Yeah.
Someone or something pushed him that way. Once he leaves the gas station, he ends up at this MDU complex. Man does not know this complex, nor does he know that area. Now, it's very dark out there. Now, we were there. We walked the area from the picture, or I should say the poor still that the police showed us, the copy, a print-up copy, showed us that he entered the complex. They got him entering the complex. We can see that it's him. Face emotions don't look like he's intoxicated, just look like man. So we see him exiting the complex. Now, the photo that the cops showed us from the footage, they just took a snapshot. It showed a body of grass that's probably, if I had to guess from the footage, maybe an 8x10 or something patch of grass area. Then it gets dark because there's very limited lighting going towards that wooded area after the complex. So when we saw the picture and listened to what the detectives were saying, we assumed that soon as he exits the complex, there's a little driveway, then there's a little body of grass, that there was water right there. The black area was water. So when we go out there, that's not the case. From the exit of the complex to the body of water, if I had to guess, it's probably about maybe 400, 500 feet, but there are numerous obstacles that will prevent you from just walking directly into the water. One being, it's an overflow. I don't know what you guys call it out there in New Hampshire, but basically if the city water, whether it be groundwater, the ocean water overfills on the property, it hits this basin, and from the basin, it's like a dry well. It basically goes through the earth slowly, but it doesn't flood the property. There's basically an overflow basin that's grass and quarter-inch trap rock. So basically, that's, as soon as you walk out the complex, you walk maybe 10 feet, you're right into this little hole.
Yeah.
So at night, I could definitely see someone hitting that at night because it looks like grass. And then once you get up and walk from there, you're walking another probably, 50, 60 more feet. There's like a wooded area that blocks the water. So with that area being there, you really can't see what's behind that. So you would have to bear around to the right, and you're going to have to walk up this, mind you, this is a new development, which is still dirt, trap rock, mud. So it goes up this hill. So that hill is now slippery because of the rain that was coming down that night, and it's dark. So you walk up this hill. Now, this hill is probably another 60 feet. Now, once you're at the top of the hill, it declines, and it's like another, now on the backside of that, it's all trap rock. So the trap rock becomes slippery, and it's more like river rock, I should say. It becomes slippery because now it's wet and you're going downhill.
Yeah.
Now, once you go downhill, you got a man-made path where the people that live in this complex walk, ride the bikes, the quads, the kids with the quads, and so forth. So that in itself is probably the distance of the average one-lane highway. So then from there, it goes to another body of trees and small patches of grass. And that is probably, once again, maybe the width of a single highway. Then from there, it goes downhill to engine-sized boulders that are not put together because of the boulders are different size. So it's spacing between them. So once you get that, that's probably another 20, 25 feet of nothing but boulders before you even enter the water. And then when you do enter the water from there, you can literally stand up and you're still standing on the boulders because the boulders run directly into the water and there's plenty of stand-up room. There's plenty of sit-up room. But the thing of it is, if man walked into that water, he would have A, broken ankle, or B, got his foot lodged in between the boulders because the space in between the boulders are so great and the boulders are jagged. There was no, if he did this, which the cops are saying, I can see him falling because one, is dark, two, the rocks are slippery. I can see him falling, hitting his head, falling on his knee, falling on his arm. There should have been some blood because he had on a T-shirt, you know. So the T-shirt easily would have, like, something. It would have been some trace, whether it be fluid, something, some trace would have been there. But there was nothing found at the scene. So that's why I discredit that theory that he walked into the water and drowned.
Do you know what time the last text that he sent was?
At 2:27.
Oh, okay, at 2:27. Okay, and so there were no calls or anything after that, and so and there were no pings after that as well, right? So is it?
Well, that's the thing. The cops only said they confirmed that the last ping was at McDonald's.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. So
that was.
I think we have a pretty good idea that his phone lost battery at McDonald's, and then he left and went to Speedway to try to make another call because his phone was dead. I mean, I think that seems right.
Correct. But if he was at McDonald's already eating, like they said they remember him, he did eat at McDonald's. So if he was there eating, okay. But see, that's the thing. If there was an altercation and man made his way to McDonald's, now whether he ordered something, we never got proof that he ordered something, no receipt, no debit card, nothing of what he ordered. So I get it. They don't remember everything, but that timestamp where you pinged his phone should have kind of gave you a window of, and at 2-something in the morning, I don't know, that McDonald's may have been populated. I don't know. But some sort of, what did he order? So if he ordered something, did he order something for himself? Or was it multiple people he ordered something from? Because if man texts before he made it to McDonald's that they're following me, he made the phone call, McDonald's was kind of like his safety. So that's why I stress the fact that if he was at McDonald's and he felt comfortable there, someone had to either have called him, text him, or something where he felt comfortable to leave McDonald's. And then that's where I think it went south.
Was there anything, and maybe I missed it and I apologize, but was there anything in that direction of that complex and heading towards the bridge that crosses the Merrimack River that he would be walking towards, like in that direction of McDonald's and the Speedway and the complex? What would he be walking towards, or was it an arbitrary direction just to get away?
Well, see, that's what I thought at first, but then speaking to some of the people out there, they said if he was going to walk back to Manchester, that I guess that's like they're telling me that is a way. I don't see how it's possible. Well, I do, because we kind of took that way, but I don't see how you would want to walk that way. But that way would probably take you back to Manchester if you walk that.
Right.
That's a long way.
It's a very long walk, though.
Exactly. And this is why I say, because if you look at it, that's kind of a straight shot, because everything else is like side streets and is not really lit up as much as the Hollis Street was.
Yeah.
So whether that was his mindset to try to walk back to Manchester, but if something happened where he made a phone call, and from what the young lady was saying, that Nicole said, people, they're following me and it's more than one. So they're chasing me and it's more than one. So that in itself led me to believe that there was something going on. You know, my son he may not be the smartest person in the room, but he's damn sure not the dumbest person in the college.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
yeah, of course.
The cops ruled that out, though, Eddie.
Yeah, no, I know, but
saying that nobody was following him, but that's not true.
And that's what they said. They from looking at the footage, they claimed that no one was following him or nothing like that, because he said that they're chasing me. So man's running. He's running. He's not walking. He probably has some speed or momentum behind him. Now, whether that's true or not, that's what I strongly believe. So once he was at the condo complex, like I said, there's a bridge. That bridge kind of exits Nashua. You can go back to Manchester. But the thing of it is, if they think that he entered the water from, see, it's kind of hard because you guys get to see the somewhat photo that they showed us. But the cops, from what they was giving the family, us when we was there, they try to make it seem like he walked from the condo directly into water, like it was a straight shot, but that's not the case.
We're again looking at it on Google Earth here, and it's really detailed. The bridge was 111, and it looks like it separates Nashua from Hudson. So those are just like small details, but you're right. It's this has been something I've been wanting to say, and I want to do it before I forget. If you're looking at it directly above, where they claim he walked into the water is to the left of the bridge. If he had stayed on the main road and continued on the bridge, he would have been under streetlights. He would have had cars driving by him, and there's a sidewalk on the bridge.
So this is presumably somewhere he was hiding out again.
If something were to have happened, he probably ducked down Bancroft Street,
right,
and then went towards the water. It seems like that's what makes the most sense.
Well, it's treacherous over there, but there are woods, and there are a lot of places to hide.
And a lot of places a car can't drive.
Yeah.
And my thought was that if he actually went to this condo complex like they say he did, man probably, okay, let me make them think I live here, okay? So if he went there, now, if he was actually there, and this is, it was never said to me, because if he went there, and if he was actually there making a ruckus or making a noise to draw attention, the cops probably was called, because at that time, if you're making noise and the cameras are there, if you're making noise, someone may have heard him, someone may have called the cops. I don't know, because I was questioning if was there an interaction with man and the cops at that time, if he was there. I don't know. I never got confirmation. No one knows but the cops. Because I'm thinking that, like I said, because this was brought up by a family member, which is true, it's possible, that, okay, let me make them think I live here, so maybe they back off, you know? So he goes into the complex, and he walks through the garage, I guess to go to the door or whatever, but they never showed us any footage of him trying to pull in the door. All they got us, the footage that they showed us, and mind you, the only footage, they didn't even show us footage. Why do I keep saying footage? The only screenshot from the video that they showed us were 3, I want to say, photocopies from their printer. And the first one was showing him walking into the complex. And the other one was him exiting the complex. But the one prior to that was the gas station. I believe that one was from the gas station.
Do you know how much time there was between the 3:30 a.m. time that he was leaving the condo and when you said that they showed you the picture of him going into or towards the condo?
See, that's the thing. What you just asked me is what I posed to the detectives, because they did not show me a still of the photo head on with the time stamp and everything. The photo that they showed me was on a 45 degree. So basically it was blocking the time stamp and everything. So I questioned that. I says, why is this time wrong? I says, where's the time stamp of this actual footage? Their reply was, well, that's when we reviewed it. I says, I understand that, but I'm very familiar with with camera systems. So if you're watching footage, it's going to show the time that person entered the building. It's going to show you the date and time, either at the bottom right-hand corner or directly on it at the top. It's going to show you that. They took a picture of the photo of the still on an angle so you couldn't see that. And I said that, what do you mean there's no, and I questioned that, but it was just brushed off. I never got a solid answer why you're showing me this on an angle. They were very particular on how long we had the stills, and it was like, if I'm going to show you this, I'm going to hold on to it with my dear life. I said, I'm not going to take the photo. I just want to physically, I need to analyze this photo. I need to take a photographic picture of this photo.
Yep.
With my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they took the still, but I could not match up the time because the time was not there to kind of go off of.
You might have kind of been stumbling into their, what they want to hold back for investigation purposes. That's kind of what it sounds like, because with all the clues here, it does sound like he was definitely in fear for his safety. Certainly at one point, I think you have evidence of that.
Yeah.
And now that they haven't even put out these last video images of him or still images, whatever it is they have, but that's one of the first things they normally do in a missing persons case. So I would presume that maybe they're holding that back for their own personal investigation in possible court, for all we know.
I don't know. And we gave them multiple names, like, and the thing that is, people have been reaching out to us that know man, that know the group, that speculating this person may be involved, this person may be involved. And, we conveyed a lot of that to the police. I don't know, because my son, he's not the type to pick a fight. I'm not saying he's an angel, but he's definitely not the one to pick a fight, because this is the second altercation he has got into where he tried to defuse a fight. And he ended up getting the grunt of it, From what they're telling me, man don't really know Nashua. Like, he doesn't go to this spot.
If anyone has any information on this, where do you suggest they reach out to?
We keep telling them to call the cops anonymously. They don't even have to give their name. All they have to do is tell them what they know, and that's it. But they don't even want to do that. I
just have one quick question for you. Where did you get the nickname Man?
That's my little man. He's little man. He's a little version of me. That's my man.
Gotcha.
It's like, I guess, your buddy. I guess your bud. That's my man. That's my partner. That's why I came with the name Man.
Gotcha.
Little man.